This is Dividing Waters Farm in Highland County, Virginia. The farm dates back to 1790 when our country was in its infancy. This historic property is a perfect location for cattle and sheep farming, with green pastures and meadows. The farm is named Dividing Waters for the fact that its barn sits on a watershed divide, where rain from the north side of the barn flows to the southern branch of the Potomac River, while water from the south forms the headwaters of the Jackson River, which eventually flows into the James River. The unique placement of this barn allows it to serve as the headwaters for two of Virginia's major rivers. The rainwater that falls on the roof of this barn will make its way across the state and will eventually flow into the Chesapeake Bay. Our local waters have had an important role in the lives of people living in this area of the state for hundreds of years. Access to fresh water was one of the most important considerations for early Virginia pioneers as the population began to move westward following the American Revolution. The German and Scotch-Irish families who settled this area moved through the river valleys, selecting sites with access to freshwater springs on which to build their farms and homesteads. These springs provided early settlers with access to clean, fresh water for drinking, cooking, and bathing. Livestock belonging to these early settlers also benefited from access to a continuous source of fresh water. Settlers built spring houses around these fresh water sources to provide a cool space to store milk, butter, and produce. Think of these spring houses as pioneer refrigerators that could be used to improve the quality of life for farmers and their families in this new frontier space. Springs enabled early settlers to become more self-sufficient. Large springs allowed early American colonists to utilize water-powered technology they brought with them to the New World. Harnessing water resources to power mill machinery for the purposes of grinding grains and sawing logs improved the quality of life for early Americans because water power greatly reduced work and saved time. Grinding grains such as corn, barley, buckwheat, or rye with water-powered millstones instead of by hand freed up many hours of work and at the same time produced a better-tasting food source. Cutting logs into lumber at a water-powered sawmill saved early settlers back-breaking labor in a sawyer's pit and allowed for the construction of better homes and farms. Water-powered mills contributed great value to the Virginia frontier and allowed for early settlers to become more self-sufficient, a characteristic that continues to be central to Appalachian communities. Freshwater springs and the rivers and streams they flow into provided a lifeline for early settlers in this area and allowed farms and homesteads to thrive. Many local families continue to live and work on farms that were once operated by their ancestors. They continue to use and rely on the same resources as those that came before them. Thanks for taking the time to check out this week's Watershed Wonder Wednesday video. The waterways in Virginia connect its citizens and provide us with a shared resource throughout the state. They also connect us to our past and help us to appreciate where we came from.